The Anasi senator sighed, her grey fingers clutching a mug filled with the caffeinated beverage. She made a mental note to get some more of the coffee powder, as she had almost run out, despite trying to reduce her intake of the glorious liquid. It would be several hours before she was finished going over the documents that had all but filled the storage space of her PDA. As such, the energy-filled drink was necessary for the daunting task ahead of her. Taking another long sip, she sat back at her desk, but paused as a rattling sound could be heard from above her. After staring at the ventilation duct for a few moments, the noise stopped, allowing her to return to drafting yet another trade agreement. Once more plunging into the monotony of clauses, regulations, and airtight phrasing as to not allow loopholes. Just as she finished one of the statements regarding what narcotics were permitted, the rattling sound started once more, only this time it was louder, and much, much closer. "What in the ancient's name?" she began, only for the vent cover above her desk to be flung open, and a large shape to fall from the now open vent. "Shit, shit, shit!" the shape was shouting, as it crashed into and promptly crushed the Anasi's desk, luckily not harming the politician in the process. "Ah, fuck's sake. Need to make those things more sturdy. Jesus H. Christ." "Who? What? How?" The Anasi began backing away from the figure that was now trying to get up from the ruins of her workspace. Once the creature had managed to stand upright, she realized what it was. A human, or more specifically, an Ares variant. The Ares variant humans were what they called super soldiers. Typically, they were taller, stronger, faster, and generally superior humans, but with the downside of significantly reduced lifespans. "Sorry about the mess." The Ares variant seemed to notice the fact he had destroyed a very expensive piece of furniture, and finally addressed the Anansi properly. My apologies, Lady Renaya. I did not mean for this." "Why were you in the ventilation shaft?" Renaya shouted back at the man. Her reptilian face twisted into a look of incredulousness, as the Ares variant began dusting himself off and looking over toward the cupboard at the side of the office. Supply run, ma'am. We ran out of coffee. Figured you wouldn't mind if we borrowed some," he explained, only further baffling the Anansi. "You broke into my office? For caffeine? There are free supplies of such in the break room for all staff, including the outsourced security such as yourselves." The politician's voice hitched, as she only grew more and more incredulous, wondering just how many security protocols the Ares variant had breached for a simple drink. "Well, we don't count. Far as the Federation is concerned, me and the other Ares aren't people, so we don't get amenities," he said, a look of surprise on his own face. "What, you didn't know?" "Surely not. You can't just not count people as sapient because they were artificially created." As the Anansi began having her own internal debate over the information given by the variant human, he had opted to make his way to the nearby coffee machine and began filling a small bag with the coffee grounds, stashing it in one of his pockets once he had taken a sufficient amount. He paused as he noticed the machine still had some left before taking a mug from the cupboard and setting it to make him a drink. "You should ask before taking something, especially if you intend on taking the last of my coffee as well." Renaya then sighed, as she turned her attention back to what was her desk. Luckily, her PDA was in her hands when the variant had landed, so it was still intact at least. Though as she looked back toward the man, she noticed something she hadn't before. He was wearing a collar of some form. "What is that around your neck?" "What do you think? They don't give us basic amenities, so how do you think they keep us from acting up?" The politician was stunned. She stood with her mouth agape for a moment before approaching the variant. "Your own people did this?" she asked, her expression showing clear concern at the device around the man's neck. "Huh, they don't even know we exist. It was the Federation that made us in the first place when they kicked the regular humans out. So, to answer your question, no, my people did not do this," he replied, noting that his drink was finished and taking a long gulp of the freshly boiled brown liquid. "See, this is why we raid your office. You get the boogie stuff." "So you are the reason why I'm always low on coffee, and boogie? As in high quality?" Her question earned a nod from the variant, who promptly took another sip from the mug. And expensive. Way more than it should be. He then approached the ruins of the desk, almost admiring his handiwork, and let out a sigh. So, how big of a bill should I expect? 250,000 credits, but somehow I don't think I would see the money from you, not without ruining your life in the process at least, she replied, offering a weak smile. Jesus, must have been a nice desk. His expression turned to one of minor embarrassment as he swallowed the remainder of his coffee and set the mug on the counter. Well, must be off. Got more offices to break into and so on. You what? I'm joking. We only break into yours. He smirked, pausing for a moment before grabbing a stool and setting it below the still open ventilation duct. Thanks for the coffee, ma'am. In one fluid motion, the man had jumped from the stool and pulled himself back through the vent. Renaya did a double take as she realized the man had jumped roughly 10 feet from a standing position. Her mouth agape in surprise as the man disappeared into the duct. Wait, before you go? She called out, though stopping herself and expecting for the Ares to have already gotten too far to hear her. This was quickly proven wrong, however. Yeah? The man's upside-down head peeked out from the vent. You didn't tell me your name, Renaya stated, only a grin from the variant. Sergeant Thomas Anderson, ma'am. Now I've got some friends expecting some coffee any time now, and I don't intend on disappointing. I'll see you around. And with that, the man was gone, his exit once more causing the rattling sounds within the vent. With a sigh, Renaya looked over the ruins of her desk, then back to her PDA. She then sat in her thankfully undamaged chair and opened up a new document, which she promptly titled Artificial Sapient Rights, First Draft.